Welcome back to another Purpose Serve podcast episode. I'm your host, Darryl Wingfield. Thank you for tuning in for podcast episode number 30, if you made it this far. And I appreciate you guys for being a part of this journey with me. If you're new to this podcast, if you're watching this on YouTube, please like, please subscribe, please share. If you're listening to this on Spotify or anywhere else, please download the podcast. Show your love. Spread some awareness if you believe in this message. But today, I'm gonna go into my mindset and what I've been thinking about as of late, and also I'm just gonna be letting you guys know what the plans are for the future of this podcast within these next couple of episodes that's going to be coming up. But one of the biggest things that I have been thinking about as of late within these last, I want to say 2 weeks, is what's more important, growth or comfortability? And I've been having these conversations with, my friends and multiple people. And it came from me realizing something from watching a lot of stuff about like the history on this freaking planet and how OD crazy it is that, there's been extinctions, mass wipe of life, and even change to how this planet was, It's not the same how it used to be. And I started thinking about how is that comparable to our life as human beings. And if you even think about it, from when we are kids all the way up until we're old and we die off, there's so much change that happens within that period of your lifespan. You experience a lot, and it's not the same. You come out the womb, and then after that, you're relying on another person for survival. And even with that, you are so raw when it comes to emotions. You pretty much only know happiness and being sad, smiling and crying. Of course, it's ranging more from that, but that's pretty much what that's stemming from. And if we chose comfortability over growth, where will we really be as a society as a whole, and even as a human race, if we didn't push that narrative of growing over comfort? And it seemed like life in itself doesn't promote comfort. Comfort in a weird way. Well, to me, in my perspective, comfort is one of those things where you letting your guard down because you don't sense danger. And also, you don't challenge yourself in developing new skills. This is an idea that I tackled previously on this podcast. But when you choose to grow over that comfort, you're putting yourself in a situation that's going to be challenging. Most likely, you're going to experience failure, but it's forcing you to develop skills that you didn't have before. And if you look at people that are really successful at what they do, is that they do that. They put themselves in a situation where they're forced to grow. It's not really a high level of comfortability when it comes to them doing the task that they have to perform, So from me being a basketball player, that was my experience with just chasing this journey, and being on this journey and chasing this dream. A lot of this stuff that I've experienced when it came to growth, at first it seemed like it was coming from a negative aspect, but it was just challenging who I really was compared to what I wanted, When I first got out to Spain and started playing basketball out there, I wasn't acclimated to the things that was going on, and it put me in a situation where I was forced to grow. And I got a one-way ticket to go to play in the summer league, but didn't know how everything was going to turn out. But I bet it on myself. But I didn't have no experiences previous to that was on that magnitude of growth. Everything that I was doing before that point was coming from the realm of comfortability. Now, I'm happy that at episode 30 that you guys get to, at this point, know the personality that I have, the type of person that I am. And before I got to that point of growth, it was a huge, huge level of comfortability. And a lot of things that I did pertain in the realm of being comfortable more than growth. In fact, my mind wasn't even processing growth, you know. But what I noticed as time went on, and the more and more I chased pleasures and comfort, that I realized it was one of those things where I was conscious of it, but it was in the back of my head of that if I keep this up, this ain't going to be good. But I needed something that was going to trigger that, you know. Like me, I started slowly but surely, like I said, not going to school. I ended up dropping out of college and, you know, not doing even anything, even when it came to playing basketball, you know, because comfortability was more important than growth, than getting better as a person. And I'm trying to figure out what my purpose is, what am I good at, why am I here? Some questions that we seriously should be asking ourselves, and not and shouldn't skip over, and don't even think that it's not even worth our attention. You know, why would you not think that your life and what you want to do is not worth your attention? Nobody else is going to give a damn, to be quite honest. You know, most people only care about what you're doing, you know, if it produces a certain result. But even at that, they only care about it to a certain extent, you know. But for me, when it came to that growth process and really, really experiencing that for the first time, I hated it, you know what I mean? And it definitely brought out those characteristics that I was so used to when it came to experiencing failure and not pushing myself. And when I first seen adversity, what I naturally wanted to do. And I wanted to quit. And I think that goes for a lot of people, that once they make that switch in their mind and be like, I want that, they actually decide that I'm about to go out and get that. I want that. And they go after it. Then after that, as they keep pursuing it, it's almost as if it gets even more challenging, you know. And this goes back to my whole point of how I started this podcast, even when it came to us surviving as human beings. We had to develop traits that we have now that we didn't have before. You know what I mean? Like, you know, the development of our amygdala, you know, giving us the emotions and fear and stuff like that in our brain. There's so many different things that, you know, which I'll look at is like, it's now like a core function to our body, but at one point it wasn't. It was a skill or trait, a behavior trait that we had to develop, you know, at some given point in order to increase our chances of survival. And if you're not willing to survive, it's almost as if nature don't make a place for you. And going down that rabbit hole of the extinction of life on Earth and a lot of things, 99.9% of living species died off that was on this living planet, you know. So that's almost a 100% guarantee. And I guess that now to sit here and think about it, I guess that small little window of life that's still available, I guess, is the life that's now. And I'm pretty sure, like, the older animals that's still living, but that that number is extremely, extremely high. But that goes to show you shouldn't be scared if you heard that number, like, oh my God, we're gonna go extinct. I believe so. But I don't think that now is the time. But a lot of people do want to be remembered for what they do, what they did, the impact that they left, you know. But all in all, you should be seeking what makes you you. A lot of people are scared to face that within themselves, you know. A lot of people are terrified to sit down and think like, can I do this? Okay, map it out. Oh snap, well, I actually can do it. You know, what is it going to take? Going out and doing it. You're going to fail. You're going to fall on your face. That right there is a 100% guarantee that you're going to fall on your face. Like, once you go after it, because there's a whole bunch of change that's going on. Things sometimes need to be destroyed in order for something to be created, you know. And oftentimes this is something that I bring up, is the concept of my old self and how I needed that for me to be destroyed in order for me to seek growth within myself, which I truly wanted, you know. And going back to my experience when I was in Spain, excuse me, man, shout out also to them guys in Girona, man. Shout out to Manny. Shout out, man, to freaking Steve. Shout out to E, man. Shout out to Ernest. Shout out to Ant. Shout out to Noah, man. Shout out, man, to everybody that was out there, man. Mark, Cody, I love y'all, man. To this day, what an experience. But that taught me how, you know, even when you're away from and never met any of the people that you're with, that just that bond and connection of you guys doing the same thing that you're passionate about is more than good enough to make you a lifetime friend and friends with people, you know. And shout out to Jay too, man. Jesse, man. I'll lift you off the list, man. Shout out to you, dog. But ultimately, through that experience, man, those guys carried me over because it was difficult. And I was coming from a place where I was playing at the YMCA all the time, playing outside, like with my friends, and expecting that was going to be the route that I was going to take. Like, my mindset was college basketball. Like, I wanted to play college basketball. And it wasn't thinking in the realms beyond that, you know, because I didn't really think that I was capable of doing anything beyond college basketball, you know. And I didn't do that due to the fact that, like I said, I was more comfortable with not showing up. Like, there would be times that I'd be in the car all night with my friends, and then after that I would wake up for my 8 a.m. class from hotboxing and go straight to class from the car. God knows what I smelt like going into the actual class, but those be those type of things where I was chasing comfortability over growth, you know. And a lot of things that I was doing was messing with my sleep habits, which affected things that I had to do throughout the day, you know, waking up at like 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, you know, but when it comes to you waking up around that time because you feel comfortable with doing that, you don't feel like waking up any earlier, you're going to reach a point in a given time where you're going to wish that you did more with the life that you had and the time that you had. That's going to be inevitable, and you don't want it to reach that point. So for me, it's one of those things where even if something doesn't work, you have to give it a shot. You got to give yourself a chance. You got to give it a try, because ain't nobody no one's going to do that for you. You know, this whole thing is meant for growth and not comfortability. And if you seek comfort, you will get left behind. It's so many examples like that across the board. If you're in school and you choose comfortability over growth, and I'm talking to you younger kids out there that's probably in whatever, elementary school, middle school, high school, if you choose comfortability over growth, you will get left behind. It's varies degrees to that, but if you develop the mindset of growth as a kid, it would take you a long way. Now, I talked about the concept of functionalism, and I used the example before. I can't remember how long ago it was at this point on this podcast, but I used the alphabet, or in the English language, and how different letters mean different things. And an assortment of those letters is going to mean something totally different as well, depending on what order that you put it in, and then if you range those words in a certain order, they're going to create something even more different from what the actual root of it is. If you think about everything that I'm just now saying, and you put it in a caption, and you're reading this, you're going to see exactly firsthand what I'm talking about, when it comes to this kind of stuff. Sorry about that. It's these headphones. But ultimately, it's one of those things where when you first started off, this is the example that I gave. When you first get to school, the first thing that you're learning is your alphabet and what it actually means, learning A through Z, and then learning how the pronunciations of it, and then after that, putting 3 to 2 letter words together and then you keep building from that, but you got to keep growing from there. It's not comfortability. You're not staying on the same learning level that you did previously. If that was the case, then you would never make any progress, You would never get to the point where you're able to write papers, or like the example that I use, read signs. It's all around us in life. And a lot of people are so underly prepared because they choose comfortability over growth that they get left behind. And this is why it's extremely important to get down to the bottom of trying to find and seek what you're passionate about and what your purpose is, and think of it in the realm of what can I do to the best of my ability to make my environment a better place than what it is right now. Simply start from that and just simply see how that vision really, really looks. We're not patient enough with ourselves, and most people think that they want to do this in a day, but know that it's not going to take a day for you to figure this out, And that's why I say that this serving your purpose is a lifelong commitment. This is not I'm here right now for the moment, and then I'm doing this to chill later on. Now, I had this idea in my head of what made me even think about growth versus comfort, and I think about most young people idea of retirement, and probably older people as well, but it's to be sitting on a private island and sitting in a beach chair with a mimosa in your hand, with your beach hat on, and you're with your family, but you, at the end of the day, are reaping the benefits of your hard work and everything that you want to do. Now, that's what their visions are. But it's coming from a place where are you really going after it right now? And are you even committed to getting after it every day up until that point? Are you living that life to get to that point? And let's keep it real. Most people seek that comfort more than they seek that growth to get to that point. You know what I'm saying? And I I necessarily like when I reach those points now where I notice that it's a decent time period of comfortability. I won't want to say like a week. Then I I steer the opposite direction extremely hard. You know what I mean? And I start to be very growth driven compared to being comfortable. You know, like I when I came back from my experience at Spain, it was one of those things where that whole entire experience taught me work ethic. It taught me how to thrive in an uncomfortable situation because all across the board it was uncomfortable. Every morning I'm waking up in a place that's far away from anybody that I know and love. They speak a different language. And also, what I'm even here for is extremely challenging, but it was something that I thought I wanted to do. And I thought it was going to be easier than what it was because of the comfort that I was experiencing and from not really putting the time in and preparing myself for what I wanted to do. But once I got put in that situation, it legit showed me what I had to do, you know, in order to improve, in order to increase my chances of success. And I told you guys a lot of things that I've done up until this point. There was a point in time when I didn't think it was possible. It wasn't in the realm of my thinking. And also, I wasn't one of those people that was purpose driven and didn't really necessarily care about my purpose, you know? I often just wanted to live my life, have fun, and then I didn't know after that. I literally didn't know because I didn't take the time out to think about what I wanted to construct my life around and how did I want to design it if it was possible and if this is something that I truly wanted to do. We need to start putting way more time into ourselves than we put into anything else because this body that we have is a vessel, you know, to keep us being like to do the mission that we was called upon to do, you know, and we have to prepare to get that job done. You just can't show up and get the job done, you know. Oftentimes when you have a new job, for example, when you do get it, there's a learning curve that you got to go through within given what job that you work in the first couple weeks to like a month, you know, of learning the ropes, learning what the rules are. And there's a growing process because you just can't show up and start doing it. You don't know what you're doing, you know. And I believe that right there, that little small thing, if you had a job, you've experienced in that. Now, if you take that and apply it towards yourself and put yourself in a situation where you have to learn new skills, you know, I definitely was one of those people that if I got a job, man, I used to be dreading the first couple of days because I was like, dog, I don't really know what I'm doing. Like, oh my God, why am I even here? I had a buttload of jobs, yo. To be quite honest with you guys, yo, I worked at Amazon twice. I was a delivery driver for pizza. I worked as a delivery like courier for what's his face for another warehouse. Oh snap! It's the GOAT. Yeah. It's my brother Devontae. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, dude? Mm. But there's a whole there's a whole learning curve that you have to go through when you first working a job, and that goes with anything. Like I said, when that learning curve is uncomfortable because you forcing a different range of skill palettes in something that wasn't there before, and that's going to come with uncomfortability. That's going to come with you not really wanting to do it, but it has to get done. You know, and if you're using that job to pay for what you're doing, then you're gonna get it done. Oh snap! That's how quickly I lost my train of thought. I went from seeing the jobs that I had to my brother throwing me freaking off. But yeah, like I said, I had many jobs. I worked at Six Flags as a ride operator. I worked at Abercrombie and Fitch. I worked at what other jobs did I work at? I worked at a retirement home as a server. Planet Fitness, obvious. You guys know about that. Um, what other jobs? Oh my God, this was up there for me. Boston Market. That job was up. I was a dishwasher at Boston Market. I was also a dishwasher at Panera Bread, man. But when I was a dishwasher at Boston Market, that job sucked so hard, so bad every time I went in there, yo. Kid you not. I kid you not. That was a point in my life where I just came back from Spain. I'm probably home for a good 2 or 3 months at this point. I'm trying to get back overseas, play somewhere. But at the same time, I'm shooting myself in the foot, because I came back and slowly but surely, like I said, I told you guys in a nutshell, I started developing those same bad habits that I left in the first place when I first came back. I found myself at Boston Market, yo, smelling like dead chickens, yo, from throwing them Jones on the spits for a piece and putting them in a freaking oven. Yo, that was grimy. And washing those dishes. Mind you, I was a real lazy worker. I was the type of person, man, if it was a sink full of dishes, high key, I was going to leave them Jones in there. Well, if I had to close or even if it was mid-shift and I was going to come back at a different time in order to handle that, you know what I mean? If I did, I didn't really care that much. But I remember I reached the point, it was August 23rd, 2017. But yeah, Steve, he picked me up from work. He dropped me off in front of my crib. And I remember at this point, I was reaching a new level of stressed out about where my life was, I'm sitting there just thinking, dang, yo, I was just doing what I ideally wanted, yo. I didn't really take advantage of the opportunity. Just like I said, it was new to me. And also as well, it was extremely way more challenging and way less fun than what I thought it would be. But now I wanted that challenge again. And I find myself sitting in my car just telling him like, yo, I went from doing that. Now I'm in the back of Boston Market and I'm putting dead chickens in the oven. You know what I'm saying? Smelling like freaking nasty blood every day and God knows what else. And I'm working my ass off, yo. But I really wasn't. But I felt like I was, But he gave me a talk that I'll never forget. And he told me to just look around you right now in this immediate area. And he told me that at one given point, these people decided to give their dreams a rest and settle. Now, do you think that they wanted that? And I was like, no, of course not. I don't think they wanted that. So he was just like, then why would you do it? Why would you settle knowing that it can be a huge mistake? It's not worth it. But literally in that moment, I was so defeated from the buildup of the situation, that I didn't think it was a way out. I just thought I was screwed. Yet again, I attempted it. I tried. It didn't work out. And yeah, I got home somehow off of a one-way ticket. But it didn't work out, and I was willing to settle. You know, I found myself waking up 7, 8 o'clock the next morning, and I'm going hard on the court and pursuing, just doing what I felt like was needed for me, not for anything else, but for me. And after that, it gave me such a decision that it made me feel like I was heading in the right direction with following my dreams and listening to my heart, and the pain that it did cause me internally from making a decision of putting everything I worked so hard for to rest. It was a very, very tough pill to swallow, and it was making it even more tougher the more I was contemplating it, but I was being okay with accepting quitting. And I'm keeping it real. Now, this video is cutting off on me, but I'm just going to finish this without the video, to be quite honest. I've been having real crazy technical difficulties these last couple of weeks, but through that experience and going through that, and deciding to commit to myself, I wouldn't even be able to present this podcast to you guys if I decided on that day that it was no more. I had enough. I experienced too much pain. I experienced too much hurt. Like I don't like that feeling. But like I said, that's inevitable on this road. That's inevitable. You will experience that. But those qualities right there is going to show you where your real strength is at, and how even in moments like that, you can overcome it. It is still possible. That's why you're here. You're a survivor. You're a creator. You got to step into it, And shout out to Jay, man. I'm rocking his shirt, man, his clothes. The shirt says to be great is a decision, and I really, really believe that. I really mess with these shirts, man. They go hard. But these next couple of episodes, I'm gonna start having guests on the show. Starting with the very special Stacey Lloyd, which is my mother. She's in the process right now of writing a book about emotional intelligence. And I want her to come on a podcast and talk about that. And then after that, we're going to go from there. I think you guys heard enough of me yapping these previous episodes, but thanks for hearing me yap. But yeah, do what's going to challenge your ultimate being, man. It's going to force you to grow. Choose growth over comfort. That's how you know that you're lining up with your purpose and what you truly want to do, because you're growing. You're growing with whatever ideas that you're manifesting and creating, which means like it's a natural process because you're growing with yourself. Yourself is growing as well, whether you want to believe it or not. Just don't get left behind, I love you guys. Yet again, if you made it this far, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Man, I'm trying to make this the best motivational, inspirational podcast that's out there, and I'm gonna need y'all help with pushing that narrative. And also, I really do want you guys to apply the things that I'm saying, take it in consideration and see where it takes you. I'm not trying to steer y'all in the wrong direction. I just want the best for the people that's listening. And if you do apply these things, you're going to notice that it's not impossible for you to accomplish your dreams and aspirations. They simply just take effort. And then after that, what boils down from that is how much effort are you willing to put in at the end of the day. I love y'all. Take it easy. Serve your purpose. And deuces.